All right, hey, what's up, everyone? It's Jordan Feigenbob, your mobile fitness coach. Today we've got a question from Jessie in O'Fallon, and she asked, what is the correct position for the toes during the squat? And this is actually a really good question, and some conjecture about this actual topic out in the internets. Some people will say that you should have your toes pointed straight ahead, and other people say you should have your toes pointed out, and so we're going to talk about why we should have our toes pointed out. That is my position on the subject. And so in the squat, no matter if you have your toes pointed straight ahead or if you have your toes pointed out, you want your femur to be directly in line with the toe. So you don't want any twisting force about the knee. You want the femur to track just in line with the toe. Okay, and so if you have your toes pointed straight ahead, well, your femurs are going to be pointing straight ahead. You're going to have straight vertical lines. Okay, and if the toes are pointed out, well, your knees are also going to have to be out at that angle to follow the toe. So basically, whatever type of squat you're doing, the femur is going to be just in line with the toe. And so when you point the toe out, now you're committing to having the knee also follow that position, and that basically the femurs to be spread apart, or your knees to be tracking outward as you descend in the squat. And so the musculature that allows you to do this, you have your external rotators of the hip, which are the P-go-go-Q complex, so piriformis, gemellus, obturator, and there's two gemelli muscles and two piriformis, or two obturator muscles. So your P-go-go-Q, and then the Q is for quadratus femoris. And then you also have your abductor muscles. Some of the glutes, med and min, are good for abducting the femur. That is, again, rotating it out, pulling it out to the side, along with external rotation. So again, these two motions, you're going to have an external rotation, you're going to have an abduction, and so you're getting more muscle mass in the movement. So that's the take-home point. Why do we want our toes pointed out? Well, we're committing to either way, toes pointed straight ahead or toes pointed out, the knee and the femur is going to follow the toe. Okay, and with the toe out, now the knees have to go out, so we're going to get more muscle mass involved to actually hold the femur out in line where it should be. Okay, the other thing you're going to work more is the inside of the thigh, the adductor muscles. There's a whole group of muscles on the inside of the thigh that now become more active because the toe angle is out and now the knees have to go out. So essentially, when someone wants to ask, why do you believe that the toes should be pointed out in the squat, and it's the first portion is, well, we're going to use more muscle mass. Because we need to keep the femur in line with the toe, now we need to use the abductors and external rotators of the hip to get the femur in that position, and it also makes the adductors, the muscles on the inside of the leg, more active. So that's take-home point number one. Take-home point number two is that with the toes pointed straight ahead, now that you have your femur articulating with the hip joint, there's actually soft tissue structures that can actually mash together, and you can get a real nasty pain in the front of your hip. It's really, really interesting tendonitis, and when I say interesting, it just doesn't feel like a normal tendonitis, and it tends to hurt. So a lot of people get what I call hot hips, or inflamed hips, and they're like, what's going on? And a lot of times is because they do try to squat with their toes pointed straight ahead, or their toes not even far enough out. And so again, we said that those external rotators and the abductors of the hip actually help pull the femur out, and this creates room for the soft tissue structures to move, and they don't actually get impinged. So we've talked about shoulder impingement. This is a hip impingement, and it definitely can happen. A lot of different terms for that in various circles. But so the two take-home points are, why do we point our toes out? One, we get more muscle mass activated that way. Two, we don't run the risk of having any sort of hip impingement. And so next time you squat, point your toes out about 30 degrees. Make sure that you're pushing your knees out hard on the way down, so that way you can keep the knees tracking in line with the toes. And that's your tip for today. Guys, if you have any more questions for me, shoot them over to me at info@mobilefitcoach.com. You can find me on Twitter at dfitnesscoach. And thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.